Alright, I hit record. So I am making a tofu scramble this morning. I figured I would videotape it because this is kind of a staple in a vegan diet and everybody's always asking how to make it. And let me tell you, it's the easiest thing to make once you master it. So, I mean, I've got my block of tofu. There are different kinds of tofu. Extra firm is the one I usually use. If you go on all those like vlogs, they tell you to press your tofu. I ain't got time for that. I don't press my tofu. So this brand I really like. It's a local brand. I live in Pennsylvania. It's called Fresh Tofu, and I like it because it's pretty much ready to go. Another brand I use that's pretty much ready to go is Woodstock. They're also really good where I don't have to really press the tofu. When you get the store-bought brands, sometimes you have to press them, but I usually don't. So I'm gonna give this to my sous chef, and he's gonna open it up for me. Here you go, honey. Can you just cut that open for me? I'm going to start my pan. I got my pan. I'm going to get a little bit of oil on the pan. If you're trying to watch your weight, I'm currently not, although I should be. I will use vegetable broth. But with that, it does, you have to keep an eye on it because it can stick. So in my home, where we don't all eat vegetables, which is kind of weird because we're vegan, right? We're supposed to eat vegetables. So I have a separate pan here that I'm going to make some onions and peppers to add to the tofu for my non-picky husband. And I've got my veggies. I've got here a pepper that I'm going to cut up real quick and an onion as well. Here, a yellow onion. I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'll probably use about half of it. So let's chop that up. My station is probably cooking a little bit better, but that's okay. So I'm going to turn this a little bit, so don't mind my messy kitchen in the background. So I can cut my onions while my pan heats up, cut my onions and peppers while my pan heats up, and I can add oil and stuff. So, all right, thank you, honey, for cutting that up for me. To put my garbage right here for now. All right. I wish you saw how I cut that pepper. It really is like not the most. I'm not a chef, all right, folks. Don't judge. But I'll cut my pepper into chunks, and I will put that in the pan to cut for veggies. With the veggies over there in a minute. Sometimes when I'm in a meal prepping mood, I will prep my onions and peppers and put them in a jar, but that's when I try to be Susie Homemaker. I don't always do it, but sometimes I do. I really should. It's not that hard, honestly. I can also freeze them, but it's probably what I should do, honestly, really, to be real. To be frank. I don't think I'm going to need all these onions and peppers as I'm cutting them, so I may actually do that hack where I'll put some away. In the pan for the onions and peppers. Okay, so this pan is ready to go. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to this pan. Literally just like a little tap of oil, not a lot. Doesn't need much oil, honestly. It's like maybe a teaspoon, I guess, maybe, right? So I've got my tofu that my husband got for me already. I'm going to move this oil around in the pan real quick. And literally, this does not need to be pressed. I can just crumble it with my fingers. That's literally what I do. I crumble with my fingers. It's a little bit therapeutic, honestly. Like, I don't know if people have texture issues squishing tofu in your hands, but I like it. I literally just, yep. Folks, that's what I do with my hands, and I crumble it into this crumbly texture, and I will cook it. So when I first learned how to make this, I would take it, I would press it, I'd put it in a bowl, I would get a fork, I would smash it, and then I would stick it on my pan. And as the years have gone by, and I ain't got time for all that, literally just cut it, put it in here, wash my hands, and that's it. Can I get in here for a second? All right, and that's it. So I will bring this to about a medium high for a few minutes, and I'm gonna cook the tofu just like that with nothing in it. That's a trick I learned from a friend of mine. She's Dr. Negron. She's a local person that does like cooking. And many years ago, when I first went vegan, she would offer these free cooking classes for like, you know, low-income families and or not Spanish-speaking families. And I would go, just, you know, they were free, and I would attend them, and it was really great because she was her whole thing was just trying to teach people how to eat whole foods. So as a new vegan at the time, I didn't really know much, and I speak Spanish, so I was able to understand what she was saying. And I would go to these classes, and she was the one who said, like, you first cook your tofu, then season it. And I always thought you had to season it first. Like, I would cut it with that fork, I would add all my seasonings, and then I would put it on the pan. And she just, I don't remember her reasoning behind it. I think it absorbs the flavor more, or whatever the case is, but to me it made more sense. So that's how I do it now. So I cook my tofu first, and then I'll add my spices. I got my pan here for the veggies, so I'll add a little bit of oil to that. I know I'm using a humongous thing, but I'm a bulk shopper, so, you know, but literally I just literally do a splash, that's it, of oil, just so that it doesn't stick. I have another pan that sometimes, my non-stick, that I'll use when I'm trying to avoid the oil, but again. And this is, I mean, I make tofu scramble almost every weekend. It's always my weekend dish. Sometimes there's pancakes and or waffles involved if I'm in the mood, or I make biscuits. So yeah, I chopped up my peppers. So I'm gonna actually throw them all in there. And if I don't use them all, I don't use them all. They'll just be cooked and can be saved for last time. So I've got my peppers, and now I'm gonna chop the onion real quick. Half an onion. So I'm going to move this because I'm a little too close to that pan. I don't want to burn myself. But so yeah, so I've got 2 chunks of onions. Then I'm going to cut this up here and throw it in that pan in just a second. Okay. So my onions diced. Throw it in there. The onion pepper mixture. I'm gonna get it's like we don't have my normal spatula, so I'll use this little red spatula. So back to my tofu pan. I'll be making a cameo there. And I'm gonna show you so you can see how it's cooked. Oh, look at that. Here we go. How it's a little like brownish. As you can tell there, and that's how you know that the tofu is cooked. And I can add spices. Well, I'll flip it first and let the other side get a little brown, and then I'll add my spices to it. So for us, you know, this is a, you know, I do a lot of like Latin cooking, Latino cooking, whatever you want to call it. You know, myself, I'm Dominican and Cuban, so that's just kind of my background. So that's usually, so influences a lot of my cooking. So I'll add some garlic. I use chopped garlic from the store if I can open it. Just to make, you can use fresh garlic too. But I'll add about a teaspoonish of garlic to this. That's the first thing I'll add in there. And then mix it in there. let that garlic absorb for a minute. And while it cooks for a few minutes, I will grab my spices. So I use a lot of the basic same things in my cooking all the time. Same spices. I can find them all. Oh, there it goes. Alright, for tofu scramble, I always use sazón, which is similar to like adobo seasoning. You can use cumin if you don't have sazón. Cumin's a good, will give a good flavor as well. So I'll add a little bit of this. That's the first thing I'll sprinkle on there. Is some of this. And even though I added fresh garlic, I like to use granulated garlic as well. I add that in all my cooking. So I'll add a little bit of granulated garlic and onion powder. Next, of course, what gives tofu scramble the eggy color is turmeric. So you can add some turmeric, add quite a bit of turmeric in there. And I like to add a little bit of nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast flakes are high in B12 vitamins. They're very much a staple in a vegan diet. I like to buy it in bulk because I put it on everything. So I'll buy that big size. But you can get it at any of your grocery stores. They usually come in a smaller container. So as you can see, my tofu looks a little yellow, it's more like orangey. But once I stir this in, it'll get its color. Oh, I also add a little bit of black pepper as well. Black pepper on there. It already looks, like your scrambly eggs. Some trick that vegans sometimes use, or I don't say vegans, just people who make tofu scramble. Okay. They'll add a little black salt. Indian black salt is actually not black; it's pink, and it has a sulfur smell, so it gives it that eggy flavor. I don't use it. Sometimes I do, but it's kind of weird, like something that smells like eggs and not eggs. But so I don't do it often, but I know a lot of people that do that. Black salt is what gives it their eggy flavor. So yeah, this tofu scramble is done already. As you can see, it is scrambled. It is ready to go. I'm gonna add some fresh spinach to it, and then my husband will add his onions and peppers to it. I'll add it to his cooked veggies here. Actually, let me raise the temperature on his veggies because they're not cooking quickly. But he'll add onions and peppers to his. He likes his tofu scramble very savory. I'm going to lower the flame on this to low on my tofu scramble so I have time to cut my onions and peppers and put the spoil away. So I'm going to add greens. I'm going to add some spinach, baby spinach. And anyone who's cooked with spinach knows that it really shrinks to nothing. So you could throw it in there, but I like to chop it up a little bit first before I throw it in there. So I literally just chop my spinach. Oops. So I just literally chop it a little bit. There you go. And I will add this to my tofu scramble to make it a little bit healthier. Just add my greens to it. Fucking spinach everywhere. Alright. There are my greens. And greens will shrink to nothing. If you cook with greens before, you know that it will turn to nothing after a few minutes. I also sometimes like to add some vegan cheese to mine. There's like a brand called Badia that sells this cutting board shreds cheddar cheese, and I sometimes sprinkle that on top of my tofu scramble as well. So I will probably do that in a few minutes. Everybody likes their tofu scramble certain ways. Like my kid will eat it with the tofu and greens. Edwin likes his onions and peppers in there. I like the vegan cheese. So, you know, once I cook it, everyone will customize it to their liking, as opposed to making tofu scramble for each person. You can just customize our tofu scramble. Okay, you see, this turns into nothing already. Like, all those grains have turned into nothing. It's like completely shrunk. So, I sometimes add kale, but kale can be a little bitter. The spinach is usually my go-to grains to add to tofu scramble. Alright, this is done. So as you can see, my video is 60 minutes long, so it took about 15 minutes. Not even. So, tofu scramble is done. I will show you my finished product, as you can see. Hopefully that came out right in the video. And that's it. Edwin's onions and peppers are still cooking, so they might need another minute or two. But we'll add that. And that is all she wrote. So thanks for joining me for my cooking demo this morning. And that's it. So I'll toast some bread. I'll throw my vegan cheese on top of my tofu scramble with my vegan cheese, and we'll have our nice little breakfast. All right, thanks folks. Bye.